the justice system had to finally concede it got it completely wrong in the case of Tim Anderson. While in jail, Anderson became aware of the similarities between his own trial and that of the Croatian Six.
The evidence almost entirely paralleled our case in the Yugoslavia case in 1978, in that there was a spy, a special branch spy, who with a record of with a psychiatric record, who told a massive amount of lies, and was then backed up by a large number of police alleging unsigned confessions. Some of the same police, I should add, were involved in their case. Then you also had the spectre of a trial with enormous prejudicial publicity and a number of stunts pulled to enhance that publicity. As in our case, there were snipers on the roof of the courthouse for the first 2 days. In the Australian Croatian men's case, there was an incident where shots were said to have been fired near the judge's house, and a special bodyguard was put on the judge.
It wasn't just fellow prisoners who must have had some doubt about the police case against the Croatian Six. In November 1979, before he gave evidence in the trial, Verkes wrote to Prime Minister Fraser complaining about his imprisonment. Verkes was visited by officers from the Australian Federal Police. One of the officers later reported that, in his opinion, Verkes had been operating in Australia as an agent of the Yugoslav government. On 2 occasions, in March and April, at the office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet, representatives from that office, the Crown Solicitor's Office, Immigration and Ethnic Affairs, Foreign Affairs, the Federal Police, and ASIO met to discuss the matter. According to the minute of the first meeting, those present heard that Verkes was believed to be a low-level agent who'd reported to the Yugoslav consulate. So here was vital information that indicated that the chief witness in the Croatian Six conspiracy case was an agent working for the Yugoslav government. Here was information that went to something as important as justice for 6 men. Now, the evidence was heard by a room full of Commonwealth public servants in March and again in April 1980, the second meeting just 5 days before the trial began. But what happened to the evidence is a continuing mystery. The Commonwealth Police insist it was passed on. The New South Wales Police say it was not. And in the end, this important public issue was one the public service appeared to turn its back on, because what was revealed at the meetings was not revealed at the trial. But there was action at least on the Verkes front. Verkes's letter to the Prime Minister did appear to spring an early release. After he had given evidence, the man depicted in court as a Croatian terrorist was delivered to the very people he was supposed to be at war with. On November 7, 1980, he was issued a Yugoslav passport and was gone from Australia 2 months before the trial ended. At the later appeal, the evidence about Verkes's connections to the Yugoslav government was presented, but it made little difference. As the appeal judges pointed out, even if Verkes's evidence were excluded, there still remained the confessions. But the confessions, you'll recall, were all disputed. So in the end, it was the word of 6 men against anything up to 39 police officers. And the common view of the day was that while you might get individual police to verbal, the idea of team verbaling was a bit hard to swallow.
Well, we now know that's exactly what happened with the Guildford 4, with the Birmingham 6, the Irish cases in England. And I think that awareness was developing in any event. It is a danger in major cases, particularly newsworthy cases involving serious crime with multiple defendants, that you'll get a team of police dedicated to getting people before a court and convicted and prepared to engage in quite a complex conspiracy to fabricate confessions.
Well, of course, the people that have been the subject of verbals have always known what the position is, that it's a thoroughly institutionalised practice. I think that there is more official recognition of that now, that it is something that's carried out by a large number of police. There is now a High Court judgment recognising the dangers of police fabricating confessions.
In the last decade, while the arguments have faded along with the graffiti, the convictions have stood. One of the few people who can now cast light on this cloak and dagger mystery is Verkez himself. Police told me in the very beginning that Vico Verkez had a new identity and was hidden away somewhere where he'd never be found. But that's not the case. It's been a long road, it's taken 12 months to travel, and it's carried us to the other side of the world. But Vico Verkez has been found. So now let me introduce you to the man whose evidence inspired what was then the longest running court trial in Australian legal history, a case that also cost 6 men their liberty. The man who used to be known as Vico Verkez was found in a farmyard in a very Serbian corner of Yugoslavia. This Balkan James Bond turned out to be a modest pig farmer with an immodest imagination. Vic, as he asked to be called, told us his undercover training came from his membership of the Serbian Black Hand. He said when he was in Australia, he had been spying for the Yugoslav authorities since the early 70s, before the 1972 armed incursion. Where did you learn to make bombs?
Well, I learned some from some books, but many from, you know, they teach us in the bush how to make them.
Who taught you?
Well, first I started, I was training a little bit with groups. They come to Yugoslavia in 1972. I was good friends with them. We played a billiard in Geelong, you know. I was married at the time, and I learned with them. That groups that were they was killed in Yugoslavia in 1972.
Did you know that they were planning to launch an attack in Yugoslavia?
Yes.
Did you pass on any information about that?
Yes, I did.
Of course, you're Serbian.
Yes.
Wasn't it difficult as a Serb to spend so much time with the Croatians without being found out?
I don't know.
Surely you'd have some idea.
Well, I had some books to learn this, being like Catholics, and I have to most time spend with Croatians.
Do you think that you were effective in your guise as a Croatian? Did they believe that you were Croatian?
Yes, the whole time I was best Croatians that they ever had.
It was a long conversation. Vic had not spoken English for some time. But one thing he made clear, as he had made clear in the letter to Malcolm Fraser before the trial, was that the evidence in his 3 statements was not his own. In the court, was the evidence you gave all of the truth?
No.
Were you given any instructions by police about what to say?
I was given. No, I wasn't. I was all told what I have to say there and be so short.
So what were the instructions you were given? What did they tell you?
Well, I had some list in the jail on the Yugoslav names, everything, so I could make mistake in the court.
So they coached you and they made you learn that evidence?
That's right.
Did they make you tell lies?
Well, I have to talk what they written there, so is the lies or not, I don't know, because they say this is all true, but I didn't know it's true or not.
You didn't know whether it was true or
No.
not? What was the deal done? Did the police